Good evening and welcome back. Tonight I have a really exciting video for you all. I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite artists, Gustav Klimt, who just had a record-breaking painting sold on November 18th. And I think I already have this antique book that I got from St. Louis that I've always wanted to show off to you guys. And I think a good idea would just kind of be giving a synopsis of Klimt's biography and maybe talking about his work a little, and we can flip through the book. I have pulled up here a little bit of his biography. I'm going to read it to you just so that we can all have kind of a baseline of where he's coming from. He was born the 14th of July, 1862, and died February 6th, 1918. He's an Austrian symbolist painter and a founding member of the Vienna Succession movement. His work helped define the Art Nouveau style in Europe. Klimt is known for his paintings, murals, sketches, and other objects d'art. Klimt's primary subject was the female body, which we'll talk about. That got him into a lot of heated debates with his contemporaries. You know, some people didn't see it as appropriate to paint the female body as he did. His works are marked by frank eroticism, which I'm going to argue. I don't think he was necessarily that poignant with his work. Amongst his figurative works, which include allegories and portraits, he painted landscapes. He's best known for The Kiss and Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer I. Among the artists of the Vienna Succession, Klimt was the most influenced by Japanese art and its methods. Early in his career, he was a successful painter of architectural decorations in a conventional manner. He was an incredible draftsman. Some of his early paintings are actually just astounding how well he could capture detail. I think a lot of people have a perception about modern art in that it's too childlike, like anyone could do it. Klimt, I think, is a big exception, right? His draftsmanship, architecturally, he started off a muralist, right? And he was very familiar with classical architecture and all of its components. And so I actually use him as an inspiration when composing architecture. Let's see. As he began to develop a more personal style, his work was the subject of controversy that culminated when the paintings he completed around 1900 for the ceiling of the Great Hall of the University of Vienna were criticized as being too much, too suggestive, right? He subsequently accepted no more public commissions, but achieved a new success with the paintings of his golden phase, quote unquote, many of which include gold leaf. He was proficient in applying gold leaf, and he's one of the beginning painters who used mixed plasters, leaf, gold leaf, silver leaf, a lot of different particles to make a texture or a paste onto his paper or a canvas. Klimt's work was an important influence on his younger peer, Egon Schiele. Egon Schiele is one that I am personally not, I wouldn't say I subscribe to Egon Schiele, just because his artwork is tough to digest, right? It's tough, for me, it's a little tough to look at. And that's not an insult, because that's what he was going for, right? But it's a lot. If you want to be shocked, look at Egon Schiele. Klimt died in 1918, having suffered from a stroke and pneumonia. Since his death, Klimt's paintings have brought some of the highest pieces recorded for individual works of art at auction. Highest prices, excuse me. And I have an article pulled up here, and it's from Hyper Allegoric. I have never seen it. I'm gonna put this on the screen so you guys can see. I don't know how to pronounce that. Hyper Allegoric. Anyway, I just looked up some of his pieces that have sold for a high price, and so Klimt paintings become second most expensive artwork ever sold. It's reported that Gustav Klimt's 1914 to 1916 portrait of Elizabeth Lederer sold for $236.4 million US dollars, with fees during the first evening sale at Sotheby's new headquarters at the Brewer Building in New York tonight. That was then November 18th, surpassing its $150 million estimate. The painting sold to a phone bidder, with Julian Dawes, head of Impressionist and Modern Art, over a 20-minute bidding volley. Auctioneer Oliver Barker told a crowded sales room it was the highest price ever paid for modern artwork at auction, surpassing Gustav Klimt, or excuse me, obviously, surpassing Van Gogh. Crazy. It is also the second most expensive work ever sold on the public market after Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, which sold for $450 million at Christie's, and the priciest work ever sold by Sotheby's. Now, I remember when Salvator Mundi was sold, and that broke the internet in my day, in my art community, right? That was crazy. And I don't know when that was. I think maybe that was 2016, 2018, I forget, one of those years, but that was a few years ago now. So 236, especially in this economy, that's a pretty penny. The author of this article is Aaron Short. So I'm just gonna flip through Klimt's works here, and we'll put on a little music. And I don't think I'll show the whole book because we'd be here for a while, because I love to ramble on, but I like the idea of doing these kind of, I don't know, a little bit of a history, like history video, but relaxing and soft-spoken, right? Let's put on this. So, we're going to begin with some of his earlier works. And like I said, his ability to capture detail. This is the auditorium in the Old Book Theater, Vienna, in 1888. Look at this insurmountable detail. You know, it looks like a photograph, but even warmer. Just gorgeous painting. They say, and this book is by Gilles Neret, and it was published by Thunder Bay Press on 1997. So the painting I just showed you is the theater as meeting point of reality and illusion offered Klimt the opportunity of casting the audience as players. What is reality? What mere illusion? He loved ancient Greece, and I think I'll show you a painting, if they have it in here, of, oh, here's a beautiful spread. You can see this is on a ceiling. This is in the Vienna, where was this? Yeah, the theater. So this is in the theater in Taormina? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. From 1886 to 1888. Klimt was fascinated by Hans Makar, 1840 to 1884, the master of the Vienna Historicis. After Makar's death, Klimt continued the master's work on the stairway of the Kunsthistorische. I don't know, guys. This is in like German. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm not even gonna try it. This is too hard. It's in a museum. The youthful Klimt was inspired less by Makar's Rococo style than by his Baroque love of lavish design. I need to take German if I'm ever gonna properly pronounce this. Okay, yeah, some of his more realistic paintings. And this is a finished drawing for the allegory of sculpture. I'm gonna cover the figure so that I don't get removed from YouTube, but you can see just how gorgeous, subtle everything is. I mean, his palette is so tasteful. And then this is a finished drawing for the allegory Tragedy in 1897. It says, although Klimt's task was to depict the whole history of an art on the walls of the museum I can't pronounce, he could not resist the temptation to present his female figures as denizens of the Viennese demi-monde. Interesting. Look at that. I like that so much because you can see he has this, again, I'll bring up his draftsmanship surrounding building a frame, and then it just breaks through in this crescendo of quarter color. Look at her face, I mean. And then of course we have the classic Greek tragedy depicted on a mask. Usually there are two modes of masks in Greece, tragedy and comedy. And this one, of course, is the former. And again, just reinforcing that idea of him being a model for Art Nouveau. I mean, look at that. Subtle, right? Reserved. And this one, you can see by the stains I have on this page, I use this over and over and over again. This is his Athena. And you can see just the masterful Rembrandt-like brushstrokes depicting the armor. It's just glorious. Pallas Athene. This is Klimt's first use of gold. The voluptuous ornamentation underlines the essential erotic ingredient in his view of the world. I'm going to disagree with that. I think if you look into Klimt a little more, he had a troubled childhood. And I think he saw his mother in a lot of the females that he depicted, right? And for me, Pallas Athene, it doesn't feel necessarily erotic. It feels tenacious. It feels serene, but like a storm is brewing. I'd like to direct your attention to this little figure here too. Look at the attention to detail. I mean, it's just... Now, traditionally, this would not be another female figure on Athena's hand. Now, she did hold a victory in her hand in the Parthenon. We do know that. She also had a shield, and the original statue of Athena is what we would call chryselephantine, which means wrought in ivory and gold, the two most valuable substances for the Greeks, right? Of course, the third most valuable substance is a metaphysical substance, and it's prestige. And prestige is earned by donating one's winnings from wars and other economic endeavors to build new temples dedicated to the gods. So for the Greeks, there is a level above money or gold, and that's prestige, and they'll always try and be the most prestigious in their community. This is Schubert at the piano. I love seeing this because Schubert, of course, is one of my favorite pianists, and just seeing how they're contemporaries warms my heart. To think that, Klimt was in the same room as Schubert, and I don't know, it's like so sweet, I don't know. It warms my heart. And then these are, of course, his, these paintings for the university. This is medicine. Actually were burned during Nazi Germany's regime, right? In the, what was that, the Second Reich? Third Reich? Anyway, so we don't have these original paintings. This one is medicine, like I said. We don't have these, but there's some literature on these that's really convincing. They used some AI models and some educated guesses on recoloring each one of the paintings so that we can get an accurate idea of what they would have looked like. See, we only have a black and white photo of each of the paintings. So we're not certain which pigments that he actually used, and I think that's really interesting. So this one says, though you cannot please all men with your deeds and with your art, yet seek to please a few to please the multitude is not good. To judge by the outrage provoked by Klimt's medicine, it seems that he made Schiller's maxim his own. Here's a detail from medicine. Again, this is a reconstruction of the pigments. If I'm not mistaken, we are not entirely sure what that could have looked like. This is Hygeia, detail from medicine. Even Hygeia, goddess of health, turns her back on mankind and is more femme fatale and sorceress than enlightened symbol of medicine science. Medical science, excuse me. That might go a little too far. I'm not sure if I entirely buy that. This is his infamous Judith. I'm gonna try and cover up a little so that I won't get removed from YouTube. Look at just the sultry, delicate brushstrokes that make up her face. I mean, she looks like a passing cloud, a cloud of pigment, just delicately alighting on our sense. These are more clouds, just gorgeous. I mean, the way he can use white and beige and cream as in such a depth without losing that tonality, without losing that ethereal quality. I mean, it's just to die for. They just warm your heart. They're so warm, so beautiful. And at the same time, he can have this grave, serene, noble stance for these women. He can paint them both delicately, angel-like, and then in a demonic fury. I mean, gosh, And in between these, they show these nearly square compositions of landscapes. Let's see, this one, oh, they don't give dimensions, but I don't think he ever painted them exactly square. No, maybe this one is. Okay, this one is beech forest. Van Gogh's trees burst upon the world, a fanfare of modern painting, whereas Klimt gathers nectar in silence and brings a sensuous shiver to his trees. He treats them as he treats women. I think I agree with that. Look at that. I say this like I'm an authority. I'm really not an authority. I just am I have a sensible heart, you know. He did the Hymn to Joy in the Beethoven frieze, and this was, let me get the building right. They don't say, but if I'm not mistaken, Otto Wagner was the one who was the architect for this Beethoven theater. Wait. I'm not getting my data. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna have to give up. I don't know the building's name where these Beethoven friezes were put. And I don't think I can show you guys because, you know, there's a little bit of nudity in them, so. This is the 3 Ages of Woman. Excuse me, no, stop. That was on the opposite page. This is Portrait of Margaret Stoneborough-Wutkenstein. This time it was not the spouse but the father of the bride who commissioned the portrait as a wedding gift. Margaret was a leading light among the intellectual and culture elite of Vienna, and she enjoyed making the decorative masterpieces the focal point of her white-walled house with its cubist interior. Beautiful. I love that. Guys, is that like a sage? Sage and warm gray are something I didn't know would combine so well. And then you get that hint of lavender. And that makes sense, you know. We're gonna end on a picture of him in his garden. Such a peaceful life. But he had a lot of personal demons, we know that. I'd encourage you guys to read up some more on Klimt. I mean, you probably already have because he's such a prolific artist, right? And we remember him for so much. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of good modern contemporary painters who do a great job imitating Klimt's work. I'm thinking of Tales, who's an incredible artist on YouTube, and I've seen some of his work, and you know, it has that, I don't know, that kind of bizarre frenzy of brushwork, and it's just charming. It's absolutely charming. And so, you know, I'd encourage you guys to explore Klimt, and then also some other contemporary painters who draw inspiration from Klimt, because he's a gift that keeps giving. And you know, I think these artists, if I can say this, I think artists who live troubled lives find peace after death by us, you know, exploring their work and utilizing it and loving it and appreciating it. And I think that's how they fulfill their destinies, right? So look at Klimt's work, read about him, empathize with him. And I know that all sounds pretty corny and stuff, but you know, we have to grow back a subtlety to our society, you know, and we have to become sensitive to art again. And I'm not saying that we aren't necessarily, but I think it's something that it can't hurt to be sensitive to art. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I always love talking about artists and my book collection, so can't wait to see you guys for the next one. I think I'd like to do a landscape painting with you guys, and just, that would kind of be fun. We could have like a virtual paint along, you know, kind of like, I don't know, kind of like you were in my room and we could just chat and stuff. And so, okay, I'll catch you guys for the next one. This was a long video. I'm kind of proud of myself. This is gonna be like 20 minutes long. So, yeah, okay. See you guys.